All right, good evening. Welcome to the Sunderland Select Board meeting. Today is Monday, no, it isn't the 15th, it's the 22nd. And we're down one person tonight, so it'll be just Scott and I tonight. We've got our minutes. We have a discussion about the election and annual town meeting memo. We have an appointment of a chief procurement officer. I'm not sure who that would be. We've got a discussion about a sewer connection, and then we've got our usual COVID-19 update. We have a placeholder for any budget discussions, and then any select board and town administrator updates, and any public comments. So without further ado, how about our minutes from March 15th, the Ides of March?
I will make that motion.
All right.
Just drawing them up. There.
All
right. So moved.
All right, I'll second. All those in favor of the minutes from March 15th? Aye.
Aye.
All right, 2-0 on that one. All right. Now we've got our discussion about the election and annual town meeting. Do you have anything you want to pull up for that at all, Jeff? Or
Sure. So this is just the memo
okay.
that usually goes out that talks about key dates.
Yep. So I'll kind of read through them. How's that? Just so folks know. These are some important dates to remember. The last day to vote for ballot questions will be Friday, March 26th, 2021. The last day to register to vote in elections will be Monday, April 12th, 2021. The election warrant should be posted by April 23rd, 2021, and our date of our annual town meeting, a little later this year than usual due to COVID and everything, will be Saturday, June 12th, 2021 at 4 p.m. behind the town office building. And if you happen to go to last year's and remember how that worked out, we kind of all sat spread out in chairs and everything, and it worked out pretty well. So hopefully the weather will hold out for that. Do we have a rain date or anything for that? Or do we just look at moving it into maybe the school gym or something if it's rainy?
I think last year what we did, Dave, is we worked the day before and allotted or 1 or 2 days before and announced another date at the same location.
Okay, all right. I couldn't remember that.
That was our weather fallback.
Ah, yeah. All right. And then any articles are due by Thursday, May 6th, 2021. And then we have a meeting with the Finance Committee to review the warrant articles on Monday, May 31st, 2021. And then we would sign the warrant on May 31st, 2021. And then the last day to mail notices to residents would be Wednesday, June 2nd. And the annual town meeting warrant would be posted by Thursday, June 3rd. And the last day to register to vote at the annual town meeting will be Monday, the 24th of May, 2021. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that at all, Wendy? Didn't know if you did or not,
Nope.
but
no,
okay.
yeah, no, I think it looks great to me.
All right, awesome. All right. So there's our key reminders. And are we posting that online anywhere too for folks maybe? Might be good to toss up there.
We have stuff like the last day to register to vote,
Yeah.
and election stuff that pertains to the voters. And
Okay.
I'm not sure this is on there or not.
Okay. All right.
But I think some parts of it definitely are.
Yep. All right. All right. Does anybody have any questions on the schedule or anything? All
Nope.
right.
That's about pushing the dates out. Those are consistent with what it would be in a normal year with a regular bylaw meeting date.
Right. Except for our meeting is just a little later than usual. So
Exactly.
and knock on this desk here, we know with any luck, and next year we'll be back to a normal schedule. So
Sounds good.
yeah, be interesting to see if the state can get back to a normal budget schedule after all this. But all right, so next we have an appointment of our chief procurement officer. Do we have a memo or anything for that we have to officially?
So
Jeff?
Looks like there's a certificate that Jeff has completed the MCPPO. Jeff, this is all 3 legs?
Yes, the 3 required courses. Yep.
Crazy.
I feel like there should be some kind of ceremony or something, you know, like we dubbed the hereby Chief Procurement Officer. Well, congratulations for doing that. That's great.
You.
That will benefit you as well as us and everything. So that's good. Do we have a motion for an appointment of Jeff as our Chief Procurement Officer?
So moved.
All right. I'll second. All those in favor of appointing Jeff as our Chief Procurement Officer? Aye. Sorry, you didn't get a vote out. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
It's also important to bear in mind for historical context, when Jeff was hired, he did not have the MCPPO, and that was an important part of our negotiations.
That's true.
The town is committed to Jeff as much as Jeff is committed to the town.
And it's another feather in the cap there in that respect, which is good. All right. Next up, we have a sewer connection discussion.
Yes.
I know we have some visual aids for that.
Yep. And Mr. Olanek is.
I thought I saw him on there, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep. Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
So the background is that in, I believe, 1983, Mr. Olanek applied for a sewer connection that was granted and was never installed. And so he's ready to move forward now. And the wastewater treatment plant operator and the highway superintendent are reviewing the application, so we can't quite make a decision tonight, but I wanted to bring it up for discussion because it's a little bit unusual, you know, what is it, 38 years later. And so I didn't know how the sewer commissioners wanted to handle the issue. And Mr. Olanek, please correct me if I got anything wrong, but he did pay the fee in 1983 for that sewer connection, and it was approved. I think the plans have changed slightly as to the project and what he's hoping to do on the property. It was originally for just a bathroom, and I think now the space that he's renovating would include a kitchen as well. So there would be some additional sewer capacity.
Okay.
So this was new to me, so I figured I would raise it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I haven't seen anything like that since I've been on. So that is kind of a newer.
Principally speaking, if there's more fixtures, there's obviously an additional fee right off the bat, right?
Would
And if it's
just sorry to interrupt, but the additional fee, would that be the application fee or the usage fee?
I'll get through here and then we can banter back and forth. So whatever the original application was, would have had a number of fixtures, right? So clearly, if the ask is different, there's a difference between the original ask and the second ask. That's important to bear in mind. The second part of my thought process is the application fee from 83 might well be different than the application fee than it is currently. I'd do that homework and see what the difference is. It shouldn't be astronomical. It's just going to be a difference between what it was in 83 and what it is today. And under our policies, Jeff and David, we should consider a sunset clause for permits that aren't acted on.
Right.
So when I take out an electrical permit in a given city in Massachusetts, there's a sunset clause. If it's not acted on, then you reapply.
That was one of the questions I had was, did we even have anything in there like that? You know?
So, but we're on the same page. So anyway,
Yeah.
back to your point, Mr. Lanik. I'm not entirely sure. We're gonna talk this thing through.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up now before I get a contractor on the street and say, okay, we're ready to hook it up. I didn't want to assume that everything was good to go as is.
Yeah.
The application fee that I paid in 83 was $300.
Okay.
And that was supposed to be for one full bathroom, sink, shower, and toilet.
Yep.
It was my understanding at the time that the annual fee was based on the fixture amount, and the application fee was a flat fee at that time.
So your sewer usage is assessed by the operating budget annually divided by the number of users. That doesn't change.
So the annual fee is a flat fee per connection, correct?
The
Not
annual
per,
fee is
not
the
per,
annual,
not per fixture.
correct. It's the annual calculation is the total operating budget plus a little bit of money for capital divided by the number of users. Everybody pays the same. I've been paying, it migrates a little bit. It goes up, it goes down. But we're all paying the same as a user. It's not by fixtures. That's part of your tie-in charge.
I'm confused by what you're saying, the tie-in charge. That's it's the annual fee, not the application fee, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I guess the only thing that would be in question would be the town has been in possession of my $300 fee that I paid in 1983.
Mhm.
The current fee is $700.
Mhm.
Am I considered okay to go with the fee that I paid, or do I need to make up the difference is the question.
That's a question I have as well.
Yeah. And especially if we don't have like a written policy on like the sunsetting them. I mean, I would imagine we'd just do the difference, but we'd have to.
Well, when I
Yeah.
spoke with Jeff earlier, and I explained what was going on, one of the questions that he had was, well, it's no fault of the town that you didn't connect, and that's not entirely accurate. I was led to believe that there was a stub that went from the main to the property line on this section of the street.
Mhm.
Because my parents built the house at 72 Old Amherst Road, and that was in fact the case. Several of the vacant lots on the street, there were stubs put in. When I went to put in the connection for here, my budget allowed for me to dig from the building to the street, but not into the street. No one could produce the as-built plans for this section of the street. The as-built plans got lost. They're riding around in the back of some contractor's pickup, probably in a junkyard 20 years ago. And I was never able to have anybody tell me where I could actually connect without having to dig up the street.
So,
And I
Rich,
couldn't get a contractor to even give me an estimate digging up the street because the main is 13 feet deep. The reason I never asked for a refund was because my plan was to ultimately have a bathroom in this building. That day is coming.
right.
Question is what do I have to do to make that work so that I'm not causing problems with you folks and I can actually get done what I need to get done.
Sure. So Jeff, have you talked to Rich about those as-builts?
No.
Okay, so let's follow up with a treatment operator. They're pretty good. They've got the ones from my house from 1948. So it goes all the way up to the.
You might have that.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I can assure you that this section does not exist.
Okay.
They're gone.
So.
And what I was able to ascertain more recently was when the sewer main was relined.
Yes.
Few years back, I was able to talk to the contractor that did the original survey for that. He provided me with the camera footage of this section of the main, and there was no stub coming out for my lot.
Okay, so
Why,
that said, we're still,
why, I have no idea, but the new plan is to drill under the street and connect to the manhole in the middle of the street so that I don't have to actually excavate the street.
that's a
And
good plan.
that I discussed with the sewer treatment plant operator a couple of years ago. That was actually his suggestion, to do it that way.
Save the pavement cut. That's good for everybody.
Well, I also don't have to dig 13 feet down to connect to the main.
Yeah.
So it's a safer excavation all the way around. Less detrimental to the street, less expense for me. Back in 1983, the underground drilling technology was not as good as it is today.
That's
So
true.
it's a better method of connecting all together.
So we got to look at what we got to do for the fee and then
Number of fixtures.
some fixtures. Yep.
That I did fill in on the new application that I gave to Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then we'll have to look, Jeff, at making sure we have like a sunset clause in there, like Scott mentioned, and adding that in.
Want to bring this up next week? We should have a decision.
Yep, that sounds good. Add it to our agenda next week, Jeff.
Yeah, do you want to decide on the fee? Do you want to, because we wouldn't be able to collect the fee. Or are you saying decide on the fee next week and then decide on the application separately?
Fee policy and
all, right?
application.
Yeah, do it all at once. As long as you get the info by then that we need, you know?
From Rich and George, yep.
Yeah, yep. Well, Mr. Atlantic can get rolling on his stuff. So how does that sound to you, Mr. Atlantic?
Reasonable.
All right. Anybody have any other questions at all on that? All right. All right, thanks. So we'll see you next week. And if something does come up, Jeff, you can let them know if like for some reason there's a delay or something like that, right? Just to give them a heads up. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
I see Lori on there. How are you?
Hey,
How are
EMD.
you?
Get that cinematic lighting going on tonight.
Yeah, I know, it's a sunset.
Isn't that a nice thing though, that it's actually still up?
It is. I have the windows open and I'm listening to the great horned owls out in the swamp.
Ah, nice.
It's
I've got
amazing.
I have one that's now taken up residence up near me at night, and it's kind of a nice thing, so,
It is.
yeah. So how are we looking this week?
Oh, a little better than last week, that's for sure.
Well, that's
Um,
good.
I believe our new numbers over the 2-week period will be right around 12.
Okay,
Which is a lot better than the 21 from the previous report.
yes.
I, just before this meeting, attended the FERCog COVID-19 roundtable, and we had a long discussion where the vaccine effort is, how it's progressing. Their reports show that 21% of Sunderland residents have been vaccinated.
Okay, well,
It's-
that's good.
It's not too bad. Unfortunately, there were no new first doses this week. They are anticipating getting 1,100 first doses next week.
Okay,
They're talking about doing another treehouse clinic on April 1st and 2nd. And the challenge with the vaccine, obviously, is when they put up the numbers for the shots that they have available, they're open to all state residents, not just Franklin County residents.
yeah,
So
to get people
It's-
coming in from other areas, maybe,
get people right.
yeah,
And, you know, as Tom has spoken about a lot, there's also a problem with homebound people who don't want to travel, how to
right.
successfully vaccinate the folks who want to be vaccinated. So there was a discussion about providing transportation, short of getting in police cars and bringing them to vaccination sites, using
Yeah,
FRTA,
different methods to get
different
people.
methods of transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, were we looking, I think, I'm trying to remember the number. It was somewhere under 60, wasn't it, or so? I think for us that we had in terms of like homebound seniors, I think. I think
Yeah,
Tom
I
mentioned the
60.
number.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was under 60.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
So, but they did say there was an uptick of cases and positive tests recently. And we've seen that. I didn't receive a report from Caitlin last week, so I don't know the demographics of our numbers. But based on the address information that I have, I would say 90% of our new cases are UMass students.
And they've all been in one area lately, so. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that trend continues.
Yes, okay, all right.
Yep.
I was out driving somewhere in Amherst and I did see a whole lot of people partying somewhere without masks on and whatnot. And I'm like, how about that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
not smart.
no, I mean, yeah. I mean, we're all ready to get back to normal, but you still got to be careful, you know?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. And I know Tom's not here tonight, but I know he volunteered at last weekend, right? Doing Jeff, I think, right? So that was thanks to those guys. And I know he worked with Trevor over in Deerfield and a whole bunch of other people. So I'd like to extend our thanks to everybody who volunteered for that. It sounded like it was a great turnout. And I know Tom was pretty pumped after that. I believe that was one of his emails opened up with that. So,
Yeah.
so that's pretty good.
Yeah, another thing is on Tuesday, March 30th from 5 to 6:30, there's going to be a discussion on what you need to know about the COVID-19 vaccines for people
good.
who may be uncomfortable getting the vaccine. It's going to be on Zoom and GCTV. I'm going to call and see if we can get it on our FCAT TV as
Well, that
well.
would be great.
Yeah.
But you can join in by phone, and they will be advertising this in the Greenfield Recorder, and a few other places, social media.
Oh, good.
I'll send it to Jeff to put up on our website as well.
Yeah, that'd be useful. And I know especially too, following in the news, like different vaccines have different, like, success rates and everything. And some are better for various strains. And then you've got, the ones that are 2 dose and ones that are 1 dose. So that'll be good.
Mhm.
All right, great. Thanks. Any other updates at all or?
Not for me.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks, Lori. Appreciate it.
Indeed.
Appreciate all your hard work. Jeff, any
Yes.
any updates from our town level? I think we got a few there.
Yeah, and I'm just realizing that I uploaded the wrong document, that I didn't mean to. Yeah, so one of the things that we've been keeping an eye on is, when we think it might be safe to unlock the doors into the town office building. And this will also serve as a reminder that tax bills are going to be due April 1st. And
That's
so we were
right.
thinking that
It's terrible timing.
Yeah.
not a joke.
No.
So, I think in October, we had opened the building for people just to drop off the tax bills. And so we were thinking about doing that again from this Thursday, 8 to noon, and then the regular treasurer collector's hours next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well, just as a convenience. And while we were thinking about that, as Lori said, we had, about a fifth of the population has been vaccinated, and that number continues to grow. could we reopen the town office building with limited hours for drop-in appointments, which was sort of the next phase of the reopening anyway. We're open by appointments only. And so we were thinking 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks from today, yep. Which would be April 5th, opening for 3 hours, 10 to 1, Monday through Wednesday. And we would sort of rope off the central area on the main floor, rope off the stair so that people couldn't go up and down. You basically go into the office that you're trying to get to, entering through the rear, exiting in the front. And if you need to go to multiple offices on different sides of the building, looping around, we would make accommodations for anybody that needs to use the elevator, because there's no other way to get around except through the central area. But we were thinking that, you know, I think Whately is open with limited hours. I think Greenfield is open. And so at least wanted to broach the subject about being open for tax collections, and then hear your thoughts on potentially reopening with limited hours, and then we'd still be available by appointment only during other hours.
And I know you were checking with the Board of Health on that too, right? I think just to see to get their feedback. Yep.
And got some good feedback from the Board of Health. She looked over the plan, didn't see any concerns with what we were proposing. Had some slight modifications just to let people know that, you know, we're still going to ask them to.
No, that's all right. It's the every now and then jump up and get the lights back on thing.
We're still going to ask people to fill out the contact tracing form and self-certification, take their temperature. And she said, well, you may want to have some wipes so that they wipe down the thermometer. And, you know, she asked about, is there going to be somebody at the door to make sure that they fill out the form? And we have, I think the process would be to put a sign up and say, bring your form to whatever office you're going to, and then that way somebody can say, where's your form? Oh, you didn't fill it out, can you please?
Right, yeah.
Just to make sure that we get everybody.
That makes sense.
But didn't raise any objections. And then the idea would be that if we see community spread, then we would circle back with the Board of Health and decide if we need to step back a little bit and reclose to the public for a limited time.
Okay. No, it makes sense to start taking those steps, I think, you know, get this out there again. So, but especially in light of the steps the state is and where they are in phases and vaccination rates. So anybody have any other like general questions about that plan at all, or?
Oh, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good phased in approach. And then you've got a backup, you know, if we do get a, you know, spike, which hopefully we won't. So.
Yeah, and it's been a year, and part of it is maybe wishful thinking that we're going to get back to full reopening in the next couple of months, and
Right.
you know, ease our way into it for everybody.
Right, that'd be nice. I think we're all looking forward to that. So, all right, sounds good.
So we're going to communicate that to the public, how and when?
We're going to communicate it. We will put it on the website. We'll,
what about a call, maybe too?
Maybe.
I mean, it might be overkill, but.
We could certainly do a news and announcement, so anybody who signed up for the email alerts. So
that would be good, yeah.
And then also work with FCAT to get a slide up there, letting people know about the new hours.
And the message board.
Yep.
The message board, yep.
So is that, yeah, because we've got that out there, so I may as well take advantage of that.
Mhm.
That covers a good number of outlets.
Good point.
Gotta use that message board, you know? All right. That would be good. All right, any other COVID updates at all from anyone? No? All right. Next up, we have a slot for our budget discussions. I don't know what we had specifically for this week, but I know, do you want to go over any of the updated sheets at all? Jeff?
Well, Dave, I see we got a populated detail sheet, and it looks like as best we can right now, revenue sheet. So maybe it makes sense for us to
Work
have
through
a
that.
deep dive into this next week, now that we've got it in front of us.
Yeah, I think so. And then it'd be nice to have Tom back for that too, so we can
Yeah.
all
Yep.
have the same fun together, you know. But
And in that, on the revenue side, it allows us to give us some chances to get information. I'm looking at numbers, so excuse me.
no, it's all right. I knew what you were doing.
Yeah, get some information on a couple of these numbers as to their backstory, so that we have so we can be informed when we discuss it in the public.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Did you want to say something, Jeff? Yeah.
I was gonna mention it in my update, but since we potentially added 2 longer discussions next week, I was also hoping to give an update to the select board on the Riverside Park project, and have the architects come in and show it. And then there's also likely to be a film permit application coming in. So I just wanted to, we could certainly talk about the budget too, but
I think a fair amount of the budget discussion next week could be sketching out our place and time. Again, there's just some questions that we may not be able to get answers for tonight. And, you know, right now it looks like your revenue projections are about $207,000. Last week, Peter asked for these to be posted up on the website. Are they up there, Jeff?
they are. And actually the updated ones were posted today.
Hey,
Good,
And
thank
they're
you.
on the town meeting page of the website under
Good.
2021 town meeting.
And so in this expense side, we're gonna go a little bit into the rails, David. Under the
Yeah.
budget detail side, this is the ask as has been presented by department heads, boards, commissions, et cetera, correct?
Yes.
should be,
Got
right?
it.
Yep.
Thank you. So right now, this is as of now, no heading back, although the elementary school did make some moves over the course of the week, it sounds like, to reduce their ask. Okay,
We're getting closer.
it's gelling.
It is, yep. And we have a little bit more time this year with the meeting a little farther out and stuff, so, but we still need to kind of get rolling on it, so. It's that time of year.
Great.
All right. All right, so we'll be back for more budget fun next week. Next up, we have select board and town administrator updates. Have any updates for us, Scott?
Last week, there was a meeting of the 120 North Working Group, and also included RDI and Franklin Regional Housing Authority, and it was a wonderful update about timing and the kind of construction. The architect gave some final renderings for discussion points. Those were very good. 2 things to notify the public of is to pay attention to the Franklin Regional Housing Authority site and eligibility for enrollment for Sanderson Place will be happening as later this year, knowing that construction is slated to be complete within, well, just over a year. So keeping any town residents interested, the town has been granted the project, not the town. The project has been granted a local preference for first round applications. Now that means is a percentage of that means that there'll be a preference given to Sunderland residents who qualify up to a percentage that's allowed by DHCD in the initial round of slots at that facility once it's complete.
Wow.
The local preference ends after the first round. Fair housing rules apply at that point, and it's no longer a local preference. So if
Right.
people are really interested to get involved in staying at Sanderson Place, they should be considering, because it's a big decision,
true.
what steps should be taken, what applications, windows should be taken, and I would be looking for that in the last part of this current year.
All right.
So it's important to bear in mind, not a town project,
Right.
not administered by the town, and not exclusive to Sunderland residents. Those are really, really important things to put down like just like a hard marker.
It's true.
The other thing we did, the Selectmen's update last week was that Frontier Capital Planning Committee met, and the track reconstruction bids were opened with the help from Berkshire Design and the working group. And it looks like the low bidder was Mountain View Landscaping out of Chicopee, Massachusetts, which has prior experience both in this kind of construction, specific with other tracks, but also working with the landscape architects who are kind of shepherding the process. So those numbers came in below at this point, the estimate, and that's a good thing. And the bidders, there was a handful of bidders, and like every bidding project, the range was from 0 to $1 billion. That's just the way they work.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That's good news. So that's moving along, which is
Yes.
nice. All right. And, I know we've got a personnel committee meeting tomorrow, Jeff, right? So be doing that. And I noticed there's a few things going on around town on the street. So that'll be a nice little segue for the town administrator updates. I see a lot of
Dust.
orange, like snow fencing kind of stuff and dust. that's
Crocuses
right.
being dug up.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, work on North Main Street is continuing. The tree protection fencing has been up, and drove by and saw that. The Complete Streets sidewalk on South Silver and South Main have begun, and apologies to the residents of South Main for the lack of notice. The contractor is very gung-ho and excited
Yeah.
to get it done.
Good weather.
Yeah. So, we certainly would have preferred to get notice so that we could have let people know. But they, started digging, and I think that the idea is to have the paving done. I think they said they wanted to have it done by April 2nd, and then it's just line striping and the bike lanes, and I think they're trying to pour concrete this week for the ADA ramps, for the
Oh, wow.
crosswalks and things. So going to be moving along quickly, and
Great.
I think hopefully that'll minimize any inconvenience. Obviously North Main Street is going to take longer because that's sidewalks and road work and storm drain replacements and things like that. But yeah, so that's Complete Streets. And then we also, the architects for the restroom, we went out and looked at the restroom with the building inspector, the plumbing inspector, and the electrical inspector, and there were no major surprises. Hopefully you'll see more next week about what the plans are, and we certainly encourage, we'll try and get the word out so that the public can get a sneak peek of what's happening as well. Because I think that's important to get their feedback. as far as where we are in the process. And then we had a conversation with the FERCog, because even though I have gone through those intro to procurement courses, this is horizontal and vertical construction and well digging, and it's a little bit complicated. So with something of this scale, I think it would be good to have them and their expertise helping out with that.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that I wanted to mention is met with the FERCog and the electric vehicle subcommittee of the Energy Committee. And
Okay.
we're going to be putting forward a grant to install a level 2 charger
Nice.
in the parking lot behind the town office building. Sorry,
Oh, excellent.
people can't really see where I'm pointing.
Over
You
that
kept
way.
the lights on too.
Yeah, that's right.
And the goal is installation costs hopefully will be 100% covered between Eversource and the state's mass EVIP program.
Yep.
I think EVIP. What we still have to figure out is there's about a $1,300 to $2,600 plan that you have to pay for to connect, so that you can go up to the charging station and say, here's my credit card, or here's my account, now I want to charge.
Yep.
And that can be offset by revenue depending on how we set the cost of, if it's set at the actual cost of electricity, the town doesn't get anything. You know, you say plus a penny per kilowatt hour, and we start recouping some of that. So we're going to get more details on how exactly that's going to work, but at least the initial application with Eversource to understand the what else might need to happen as far as, you know, bringing power out to the site and where exactly in the parking lot the spots would be. And
Yep.
we're going to start working on that.
Yeah, because
So
I
is
suspect the
that-
payment, oh, good, Scott.
No, go ahead, David.
I was just saying, I would expect that that's got to connect like a Wi-Fi, you know, like some of the parking things and that you typically find in like Amherst or Northampton, and it's got to connect over Wi-Fi for the payment system and everything.
Yeah, I think it's a 3G connection. It's like a,
Yep.
you know, 3G or 4G.
Right, cellular, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
the connection obviously ties to the grid, likely through this building, right? If it's gonna be out behind there, you're not gonna run another service out there. That's not gonna happen. So is that sub-metered, and is that, I guess these are kind of details that will come out with inquiry. Thank you. No, I'll leave it at that. I'll wait for the details.
Yeah,
That was one of my questions too. And yeah, the understanding is that when they come out, they meter it separately.
Yeah.
okay, all right, good.
That makes sense.
Did the Energy Committee, did they discuss at all, like maybe looking at those spots we have out at the park and ride? Because we've got several spots out there. That could be a potentially good spot. I know at one point we had started to talk about it, but.
Yes. And we had felt with the construction going on North Main,
Yeah,
that now was not the best time to pursue that location. We'd also talked about along School Street, because that's more
Right.
obvious and people
Yeah.
would find it easier. But again, with a design for streetscape improvements on School Street, we didn't want to put it in and then have to rip it out again or work around it. So I think that those are future locations that we're looking at for additional opportunities. And just
okay.
because we're applying now for the grants would not prevent us, assuming the grants are still around, from getting it in different locations.
Yeah, and there may be some other ones we can look at too, you know, to tie in for those. So just so folks know, because I imagine somebody would be curious about the park and ride area and stuff like that. And it's, in the long run, it's a good potential spot. Yeah, okay, great. All right, so quiet in town once again. All right, thanks, Jeff. Do we have any public comments at all? We've reached that portion of our evening up, and I see Peter lit up there. How are you, Peter?
Oh, David,
How you doing?
I just wanted to, number one, thank Jeff for posting those financial pages. I may be the only person in town that actually goes and looks at them, but
You never
You're
know.
the only
right?
person in town who looks at them and enjoys it, Peter.
Yeah.
maybe looks at them and has some sense of what they're saying, perhaps. But
Yeah. Forget
Anyway.
Netflix, you know?
anyway, I just, they are moving documents in the sense that they're going to change as this season goes on. And so I hope that, we remember to keep them updated, because it's very easy just to sort of, you got new numbers that come to the select board meeting, but the numbers on the web that, I can get in reference to are, lagging behind. So it just, if somehow that could be sort of just, pay a little attention to that, because it's part of, having this open to the public. If we don't have access to the documents, it's really hard.
That makes sense.
And the other thing I would say is that I know there was some discussion, I think it was last meeting, or maybe it was the week before, that, the town has got a $300,000+ problem in this year's budget. I did notice in the revenue sheet that it's missing a number for new growth.
Yep.
And that's going to be a substantial number. And that will, do a substantial reduction to whatever that, supposed budget hole was. So,
Yep.
Right.
Again, thank you for doing it. It makes it, way easier for me to have a sense of what's really going on.
Right. Especially if somebody's following along in the meetings, they've got that as their baseline. And,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
But that's why it's important to keep it updated, because then if they're following along, but what you guys have for the meeting has changed and that hasn't changed, then it's like, you don't really know what's going on. So,
Right.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Our goal is to keep that updated every week.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it. All right. Any other public comments tonight?
Gentlemen, hi, this is Jessica Skibisky. I just had a
Hello.
quick silly question. Hey, for mailbox removal replacement for North Main Street and Route 47, how are we getting our mail when they do that? Do we need to put in a hold mail request, or are they being moved? I've been asking around none of my neighbors now.
That is a good question from a mechanic standpoint.
That's
Jeff.
our homework, Jessica.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can
I'll
follow
get
up with
back to
the,
you.
yeah, how long did they say how long they thought they'd be out? They may not have yet.
No,
Okay,
I don't think so.
okay, all right.
So we'll
Yeah.
contact the DOT and the contractor and see just, what those steps are.
Yep, we'll let you know. It's a good question, actually, Jessica. So,
Great, thank you.
all right, thanks. All right. If we don't have any other public comments, I think that might be the end of our programmed fun for the evening. So our next meeting will be next Monday, March 29th at the same time. And like Jeff said, we've got a number of things going on, some budget discussions next week. We'll be talking about an update on the town park up back. That was the restroom talk that Jeff was talking about. So should be some interesting things. And of course, more budget fun. So stay tuned.
It will be budget fun, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Maybe we should start making popcorn or pizza or something, for that. So, all right. And if that's all we have tonight, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. I'll second. All those in favor of adjournment at like 7:24.
Aye.
All right. Thanks. And thanks for coming this week, folks. And we'll see you next week.